and it's time for us to delve into, you know, the matters arising segment. But first of all, look at what the papers are reporting. And thanks for making us part of your morning once again. And you know what? Today I love MFS locks. What? Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Oh, this looks so good on you.
Thank you so much.
Wow. I give yeah, this is good. So people can see the full, you know.
Well, thank you, Kojo. Let me run you. You have a long haul today, all the way till 9 a.m. So let's do this
but
quickly.
You have to remind us of that.
Yeah, a gentle reminder is what I do. That's just my duty to be here. Okay, so the Ghanaian publisher this morning, Kojo, you have seen a big push, big loot, storm dippings.
How do the editors come about these headlines?
It's amazing. It's really amazing. If you want somebody who's also quite excellent at headlines, it would be Jivenu and Kojo Usu.
Big push.
Big push, big loot, storm deepens. And you're aware that on Newsfile on Saturday, Suleiman Abraham was here and was trying to put some explanation to that investigative piece. Now, this one particularly, if you would go to page 3 of the Ghanaian publisher, suggests that a contractor who had been awarded a commitment fee for the Dopepesu Kwanta stretch. The commitment fee, as they have been seeing, is about 120 million above the required amount, okay, and so needs some looking into. That is one of the big ones that the Fourth Estate is bringing to the fore. If you're interested in that story, is on page 3. Well, what's even more worrying is that that contract was awarded to a contract or a company that was registered in January 2025, raising questions about capacity. Why do you have that smirk on your face?
No. If it were me, I'll be happy that I've been given a contract anyway.
Obviously.
But yeah, people are also right to be asking the questions about
capacity.
If you are registered in January 2025, and you have been given a contract which is worth, what, 804 million Ghana cedis.
120 million above the threshold.
But if the person can do the work, the point is that value for money is a thing.
Well, the if and was and when and where is always something to discuss, but this is why it brings the conversation to the fore. Let's have it.
I think the minister should also slow down in trying to respond to the Fourth Estate every time.
Why not? That's his duty to explain to us. He's not explaining to the Fourth Estate, he's explaining to us.
No, but you see,
only the Fourth Estate.
Anytime you do it, the Fourth Estate, they have the document you send them.
Well, he's confident because he says that they're impugning his reputation, and so he needs to explain.
But why? Is he saying that the document with Fourth Estate is not accurate? Is that what he's saying?
It may not be the fact that it's not accurate, but he may have some good explanation to that document.
But
so he needs
his good explanation, if you watch what he's been putting out on X and all of that, it looks like, okay, you say this, and I'll come and say it's not true.
I'll tell you what, Joe. When the Fourth Estate released that first piece, of course, it was very speculative. We had to believe the Fourth Estate until Evans sat here with the minister. And it was almost as if we're bringing calm to the storm. Then the Fourth Estate is coming up. It's okay. This is what we need.
He brought details.
He needs to speak, really.
Look at the is it Kumasi ring road that they've divided into 3 lots. And yesterday I was reading that when you divide something into 3 lots, the idea that they did it was to ensure that you complete it earlier, faster.
Yes.
And also you give it to what? 3 different contractors so that you get it quite cheap or what have you. But this one, 3 lot, given to the same contractor. It got one on 25th, I think.
25th of what?
The 25th of that month, I forgot.
Okay.
The 25th, he got the first contract. 26th, he got the second contract. And then I think...
Who's the he? The same contractor?
The same contractor. I'll pull it up.
Okay.
And then the same contractor gets the 3rd lot after a month.
Okay, so same person, now, 3 lots.
3 lots. And every lot, you have to be given mobilization. But remember, if it was the one tranche, you just get 1 mobilization. So the question is, why break it down into 3 lots? Why award then those 3 lots?
I think that's quite debative. The minister has been speaking quite about that, the lot and the reasoning that went behind it, but we're both not...
No, but if you divide it into... Your argument is that we'll divide it into 3 and make sure 3 contractors do it so they can...
So why don't you just give all of it to the person, to the same contractor to finish?
If you are giving it to the same contractor, then it should be 1 lot. Why 3 lots?
I understand you. Understand.
Anyway.
Understand. So again, the Ghanaian publisher, Kojo, Africa risks missing out on AI revolution. The former vice president, of course, the NPP's candidate, presidential candidate as well, when he was in the UK, has been speaking a lot. Details of that is on page 2 of the Ghanaian publisher. And again, we won't be silenced or cowed upon your marking fires warning. And this will be when they were wrapping up on the first session of the second sitting, I think, of the 9th Parliament. It's a mouthful. You want to look at that for me. But that is when he said that the majority caucus in Parliament usually like to really silence them when they have a dissent on policy discussions in Parliament, and that he's been throwing that warning. Also, the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah Mons, tomato trader, the story is on page 3, and Yaya is one of the women, unfortunately, tomato sellers who lost their lives when they went to purchase tomatoes in Burkina Faso. She's quite a popular woman in Koforidua, and then he went to mourn with them. If Prince is not asleep by the machine, he would help me make this work. Yeah. And then I will go to the next paper.
He was the regional minister for that region sometime ago.
Julius Deborah. Yeah. Oh, you tell me about it. I will know.
Yeah, he was the regional minister for Eastern region. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
I can understand.
Exactly. Yeah. He going back to mourn with the personage to say, yeah, these are my fellow people.
Yeah.
I have to be there for them in the end. Yeah.
The Daily Guide this morning, Quickenborg Prisia Mine redevelopment. The chiefs have been asking. Stories on page 3. And then Africa's AI policy response must be borderless. Stories on page 3, and it's Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia speaking. And then again, 73 billion Ghana cedis sole source road contracts under fire. Professor Douglas Boat has been telling us that we've been mixing up single sourced and sole source, and so we should be looking into that. I also need some plenty left.
Yeah, it says the law says single source.
Yeah.
But if you listen to Suleimana well, he says even the document the ministry itself gave them, they used sole sourced. So I think it's a way you can use interchangeably, but the one in the law is single source.
Okay.
But you're asking about the name of the company, right? Right. On the document, we are told it is called Arab Contractors Ghana Limited.
The one registered 2025 January.
Thank you, Kojo. And given the 3 lots.
Okay. And again, there's still the same story. The details of it is on page 3 of the Daily Guide. Now, the Bogosu Pristia mine conversation, I'm sure you know that we've been having a conversation. So there's a picture of a protest that happened, and it's on page 6 of the Daily Guide this morning. And Kojo, Sunday floods displace Accra residents. Story is on page 6 of the Daily Guide. I know we've come from a very Palm Sunday yesterday with flooding, with even over 30 trapped in Newtown building collapse. As of yesterday evening, we're reporting 14. But up until midnight, the Interior Minister as well was there and was telling us that we've counted up to 30, with 3 of them dying as well. It's no longer 2. That's the death toll.
You know, we had a conversation here last Friday with Florence Kuchi, and I was asking her about the thing they've done to ensure that there's no flooding. This is not even the main rainy season. This is just like knocking, and we are having this. It throws all our preparation water out of gear, because we said we've done the work such that we won't see flooding.
Well, honestly, I don't envy your panelists today, because they have to come and face a conversation that existed even before I was born, Accra flooding, and I really don't know what else the government would like to hear before they can do something about it. But I like to think that will be all for the newspapers. Okay. So that's it for our top story this morning. Unfortunately, 3 dead, 20 hospitalized in Accra New Town building collapse. Interior Minister. You take a read on myjoyonline.com. Kojo.
But the structure.
Yeah, residents have been complaining that the structure obviously looked weak, and that there were no restrictions of not going for any church service in the building, but they still did, and so we're where we are, unfortunately.
Scattered across this country.
Sadly.
Who's checking? But go to Bogosu.
Yes.
That's a gold mining community, and sometimes when these communities start to say, quicken our development, they are looking at the resources that go out of the area and the impact that has on them. Then if they don't see it, then they will come to you. You go to Bogosu Pristia. Even the road linking Bogosu to Pristia, it's been in the books as being constructed for so many years, yet it's still not constructed.
Really?
Yeah, Bogosu Pristia, the road linking Bogosu to Pristia is not.
Every day it finds itself in the...
Oh yes, that we'll do it, we are doing it. Nothing happens really. So if we've gotten so much gold from Pristia, for example, because that's where Sankofa sits, right? Sankofa Gold Mining Company. It's sitting in Pristia.
Yeah,
and
it does?
Yes. And we've still not been able to give them that development they need. And they still come out to say, quicken the development, but they've spoken. Who's going to listen to them?
Hopefully.
So sometimes this country, the royalties they pay, how do we disperse how do we utilize the royalties the companies pay? Anyway, thank you very much, my dear sister.
Welcome.
Let me come in studio and introduce my guests. We have Kojo Nsafwa-Poku. He is Executive Director of INSTEP and a member of the MPP's communications team. Kojo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kojo.
Yeah, I'm good. Blue black suit. It's beautiful.
Well, it's the colors that is in my blood, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been some days I wore suit. Maybe next week I have to wear
You
suit.
should, and wear blue. The color speaks for itself. The blue, white, and red.
Okay. Oh, so it's deliberate, huh?
Oh, always.
Okay.
The blue, white, and red is very deliberate.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. Lom Ahlijah, this name. He's a lawyer, lecturer, and energy analyst. He joins us in the studio. Lom, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo. How are you?
I'm well. Former SRC president, UG, right?
Yes.
But you should have gone to UCC anyway. James Kwabena Bomfeh, he went to UCC.
Correct.
CEO of
Toughest university in Ghana.
Yes. He's a lecturer at UPSA as well. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Kojo.
He's a UCC. So, UCC School of Agric, where I attended, we are celebrating our 50th anniversary, 50 years of impacting agricultural education in Ghana.
Positive.
As for and the School of Agric there, you won't get it wrong with us all the time. Anyway, so those of you who don't know, I'm a pure Agric student.
We're in the same faculty.
Oh.
Of Science.
Yes. Yeah.
Now when we were there,
it was separate.
It was,
but now
Agric is a school.
Yeah. Under a college. Yeah.
So UCC is expanding and broadening the horizon.
Yeah.
You can always count on that university of competitive choice.
Thank you. University under Christ control.
For some of us who have also shared in the Legon story, by coming further there, we can always say that UCC is always on top.
Premier University.
But of course, you are the first to have come.
Yeah.
And you recall that UCC was affiliated along the line before it got voted. So, which is very usual for all the universities that are coming up. Today, UCC is the choicest university.
Thank you.
I think in Africa...
Five times #1 consecutive at times. West Africa. Times ranking, we all use it.
Times ranking.
We all use it.
The UK Times ranking.
We all use it.
And significantly, UCC has produced the first female vice president.
Thank you.
That one is it. That one. That's for that one.
You know what I say about that one? When Ghana goes 100 years, a lot of schools will have those things. Before Newtown people worry us. Newtown, we are the only one with president. Then we moved on. Prempeh people are now worrying us in Kumasi. We are the only one with president. Look, let
Ghana... We are not worrying you in Kumasi.
Please,
it's a fact.
What is the fact? Let Ghana go 100 years. Even Twanse will have a president.
No problem.
Yes.
But in our 69 also...
Don't create problem for yourself. Did you say even...
Oh, okay. Twanse, not even. Twanse will have a president.
But in our 69 years, we UCC will have a female vice president.
Well, that's fine. No problem. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Everybody will have some.
Okay. All right. Let's move on here and get into the papers. But before, let me share this reflection by Professor Douglas Boateng. He says, it is easy to blame the final signature on a flawed contract document. But who prepared the document placed before the minister or the CEO to sign? Is the question he's asking. He says, public outrage often stops at what is visible. A contract is questioned, a decision challenged, and attention settles on one or two high-profile names, it is convenient but incomplete. The truth is simple. Decisions are not born at the point of signature. They are built layer by layer, long before approval. Ministers and CEOs are leaders, not technical experts, and often rely on technocrats and management to undertake the necessary due diligence before documents are presented for signature. The signature concludes a process. It does not define it. Nyansa Kasa reminds us that the last hand on the document is not the first hand that shaped it. The visible is questioned, sometimes corrected or replaced. Yet, those who prepare flawed submissions often remain untouched, only to shape the next one. A system that shares success must also share responsibility. Accountability cannot end with ministers and CEOs, while technocrats, procurement practitioners, and advisors remain unseen, unscrutinized, and unsanctioned. Procurement, like other critical professions, must be fully professionalized. African governments must institutionalize this through acts of parliament, establishing clear standards, define responsibility, and enforceable accountability across the entire decision chain. If you repair the roof but ignore the pillars, collapse is only postponed. Every technocrat, licensed professional, including competent procurement practitioners, is responsible not only for what is approved, but also for what is prepared, recommended, and left unchallenged. Silence in preparation becomes noise in consequence. Until accountability becomes collective, future failure and avoidable errors will remain repetitive. Stay reflective and have productive week. Could you remember, was it you? Someone was here advancing similar argument.
It was me.
That it was you. And Prof seems to agree that the one who signed it must not be our focus, that the person who prepared it must also be the one to question as well.
If you've worked in the ministry, in the way our civil service, and before I go on, let me say a good morning to Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and the beautiful lecture that he gave last week, over the weekend on Saturday. I'm sure we'll have a chance to take a bite at the AI conversation later, and all the MPP members who are watching us this morning. Look, the interesting part of that conversation is that, yes, I think our civil servants are really not doing justice to our government structure, the engine of government. I have repeatedly, and like you remember, when we were talking about certain issues, and I said that the burden lies with the civil servants, not necessarily the minister. Because even with the PFMA, the spending officer is the chief director. A lot of the things that goes on in the ministry, in the UK, they are called permanent secretaries, right? The people who are head of our civil service is the chief director.
Okay, all right.
But you see, the conversation gets trickier when it comes to signatures.
Okay, all right.
Before you sign a document, there are certain key things you need to see what you are signing. Because the problem becomes not who prepared it, it's who signed it.
Okay.
You understand?
All right. Unfortunately, let me take you to Newtown, because yesterday we didn't hear a lot of we didn't hear good news at all.
Okay.
In Accra, for example, when the rains dropped, challenges came. My colleague Adobe Asari is at Newtown now for us to get details in what happened there. Adobe, I mean, what can you report as what is there currently this morning?
Yesterday, a very tragic incident happened here at Newtown, the experimental basic school here. Now, there are several structures here. The particular structure that collapsed is one that is not in use by the students because it was now being constructed to expand the school. But then because they were not done with construction, students usually will go there just to revise. And then church members will come around every now and then to have service, like as is commonly practiced here in Ghana, where churches who do not yet have their own auditoriums use some of these buildings for their service. So yesterday that was ongoing when the building came crashing down on them. Now, according to reports we've gathered here when we got here, as at last night, 3 people had been confirmed dead. Coming here, it's still the same 3 people. So 22 have been rescued. 3 have been confirmed dead. There are 2 females and 1 male. And then 6 of them are in the 3 confirmed dead are in the police morgue. 6 of the victims who were rescued are the police hospital. And you have about 15 of them, about 12 of them at 37 military hospital receiving treatments. Now, the army is here. We have NADMO officials here. They are not as many as they were yesterday because we are gathering that they are done with the rescue mission, but they have to put the place in order to prevent people from trooping in for whatever reason. So they are barricades, and when you come here, they've barricaded the whole area. So the few residents who are still around are at the other side of the barricade. Now, we still see the 2 excavators here, but they are not in use because the people, like I mentioned earlier, have all been rescued. Then a few fire service officials are here. Some army men are also here trying to maintain order in this place. Now, we've been told that it's still unclear what caused the building to collapse. However, according to the officials here, it's definitely a structural problem, but they're still waiting for investigations being carried out to come with the exact cause of the collapse. So I'm trying to get close to some of these officials to get exactly what the update is this morning. Earlier we spoke to one of the PR people from the PR department of the NADMO, and they did mention that everything is fine now. They were done with the rescue mission by
municipal no MCA no po eba ha ebe mom warning say nobody should live around the property and now the structures, you know. Until the SCA any there. As at now, you're not more for the report to be any table so. And yet, I'm not when see ya and can't teach you.
But we walk constituency and offer Hanamo who say, and now is ready. I'm sure they be assembled me about.
Normally, one say quite uncompleted building. So you can ascertain the reason why a gusu a jina hoa or munya hushui. And into and the one to me can assembly because I quite uncompleted and can complete here. Yen use and know the way to my business say why is it not be in good use? Yeah.
But we know say you are part of a disaster prevention.
Exactly.
But it tells you say I said the structural integrity will be a can once and not a form. So now form what is the step now feel like not mobile me take in collaboration with the MC to ensure say maybe a cordon area no so can say MC be man focus say more be and stay around. You cordon area to set no the amount for them.
Yeah, me that was it. Me said the Mikael no say ye report no as at NADMO report be amba me table so say I was say your cordon area no enye enra we ni see ya me ti say yes MC na abaha abe mom warning say ma obi enko yusu facility nden ka minimum yeah.
It's when the near catch NADMO about other buildings of this nature here what I constituency.
Yeah, honestly say be better to say there but me say was on to anamo. I'm making sure say every structure, that height and that gravity, you have to go and see where if the pillars or whatever the building have been structured. Now, BBC NCW, yeah.
It would one artist will be the assembly, the system, no, a fairly Ghana for a prayer, one a free more, Obiam say.
Oh, any dear, because when we say, I am you take you over assembly, no, and we say, a year and a half in year. So most of the assessment, you know, and I report in a table so and na so for now, once I report it be amba your table so no yentimi nka say you feeling the system and you feeling on my own. Yeah.
So for how many assessments am I here within the municipality?
So far, I dilapidated buildings in you were close to about 4
in the municipality.
In the municipality. I mean you can say you put a biwo police phone then. Occupy space, you know, Makwa then. I could cordon off place, you know, Nansu. The next day, I call Hono, my own so on your caution tape on in until we will serve as a blueprint for us. You better ensure we are here, you know. Mesa Akohobium, Ako making sure say you cordon the whole area. We are police new, we are soldier new, you better to be by force.
Out of the 4, no, everyone my office or say you
Yeah. 4 nina was sending number for. Nina.
Areas best.
Oh, but Munu or Malata and Munusupo Alaju.
Let's say you see Achana.
I say yes, Yache. Yes, Yache.
Show your name.
My name is Mohammed Awal. I'm the NADMO director of the constituency.
So there you have it. That was the NADMO director of this constituency. His name is Mohammed Awal. Now, from what he said, the MCA for this area actually saw this building some months ago and said nobody should get close to the building because it was not fit for purpose. It was not fit for use, and so people shouldn't use it. So he was actually making plans to get them to come and demolish it without causing any accidents whatsoever, but people didn't pay heed to it, and then yesterday the incidents happened. So from what he's saying, you can gather that it was just a little bit of negligence on their part. However, he also adds that they have gathered, there are about 4 buildings in this municipality alone which are not fit for purpose. He created a cordon around it and they've been removed. People are still using this building. So he believes this incident that happened yesterday, this unfortunate tragic incident, should serve as a deterrent or should give some kind of warning to the people who are in these weak structures to quickly evacuate as soon as possible. He mentioned that there are 2 at Malata alone. So this is the situation here at the moment. The army is still doing everything to keep this place in check. They are preventing residents from coming, but there are still a few residents I see trooping in here. It's unclear what they are doing here. It looks like it's either they've been given some sort of role or they are coming to do their own thing. So I just want to get close to them and find out what exactly they are doing here, because we have even been told to leave. So we just want to know why they are here. Hi, gentlemen. How are you doing? Good morning.
Morning.
You live here?
Yeah.
Please, what are you doing here? Because we're told to leave this place.
We are going to remove the iron rod.
Okay. For your personal use, or you've been instructed?
Instructed to do it.
Instructed by who?
By the big man. I don't know his name, but
he's a big man. A big man. What Okay, the NADMO coordinator asked you to come. So So the NADMO coordinator, according to what they are saying, the reason they are not being driven away from here is that the NADMO coordinator himself has delegated them or given them the instruction to gather some things like the iron rod and to put some sort of wire around the area to prevent people from just trooping in. And when something like this happens, you may probably get some booty around, so people may be coming, and that can cause another fatal accident, because I see broken slabs, I see slates here, some aluminium wires, and all these things are hazardous to people. So these people you are seeing behind me have just been instructed by the NADMO director to take out some of the things like the iron rod and to cause some sort of barricade here with the wire mesh they are holding. So there's a situation here. Everything is actually under control. Also, because it's a school environment, or because the structure was right on the compound of the school, the students and teachers are not inside. According to officials here, just yesterday when the incidents happened, they communicated to the school authorities to prevent any students from coming here. And I think that communication went down well, because I don't see a single student or teacher inside. Now, I was looking forward to seeing certain survivors who I don't think they will come around, but I was looking forward to see certain relatives of survivors at least around. But after my checks, I don't see any of them around. Maybe going forward, some of them may come around, or we'll get to interact with them. I remember yesterday there was a security guard around here who was praising God for deliberation. I was just curious to know whether he saw the thing coming and quickly fled, or he was caught under the rubble but at a safe place enough to be rescued. We are yet to find out all those details, and we'll bring you all those details as and when we get them. But yeah, like I rightly said, that's the situation around here. According to the first NADMO director I spoke to off camera, he did tell me that they'll do everything possible to clear this place as much as they can, because it's an open area. Students come here to study. It will not be safe at all to have all these kind of things around here with students and children in the area. So there's a situation here at the moment. Grace.
Director is still inside. He sort of tried to confuse us here. He made mention of the fact that he's the director for the constituency. Can you clarify from him? And he was mentioning some 4 incidents. Are these incidents, or they are the death toll that has gone up? I don't know if you can get some clarity from him for us.
I'm unable to hear you well, but I did hear you mention 4 buildings. Now, what the NADMO director for this municipality said was that after this incident happened, he said they assumed office about 1.5 years ago. So they are still, getting familiar with all the assessments that are supposed to be on their decks. Now, but what he says is that they have gone around, they have seen that there are 4 dilapidated buildings. There are 4 buildings that are unfit for use. 4 buildings in the municipality alone. He mentioned 2 at Malata, but he didn't mention the other 2. But he said there are 4 buildings. Okay, he said Malata and Alajo.
Okay.
In this municipality that are not fit for purpose, that people shouldn't be living in or staying in or doing any sort of work in. And that they are supposed to be brought down and probably reconstructed. But people have not listened to them. I mean, after they went to create a barricade around the area, created a cordon and everything, they came back after some days only to see that all the tapes and things they put around have been removed by residents and the buildings have been occupied again. So he says now that this has happened, they are going to be very stern and very firm on these people. They'll go to the buildings and other buildings to do all the necessary checks. And if they find that a building used by people is not fit for use, they'll just get you to evacuate and probably do something about it, because this shouldn't happen again, especially in areas where there are children. And in fact, people in general, these are things that are avoidable. I mean, if people will just listen. So we're hoping that when they go around and inform people to evacuate their buildings for safety reasons, they'll actually listen.
Do we know how they were able to come to the conclusion that this total number of people were there, and the fact that they rescued a certain number, then it means everyone who was trapped is out? Are we able to tell? Do we have that confirmation? Okay. Wanted some clarity, but I guess that is difficult for her to be able to hear me. So that would have to end it there and come into the studio. But this is what we have. This structure, according to them, they had warned people, but they didn't listen. Kojo, let me come to you. Just some small drops, I would say advisedly, because we're yet to get to the season where the rains can be continuous for like a day or 2. And this is what we're seeing. What does it tell us about our preparation for the rainy season? You cannot blame the authorities for this, can you? Because
well, I'm hearing this is not a rain. Is this rain related, or this happened on?
Or this cannot be. It just came when the rains came in, but
right, okay.
They say this structure itself has been in a very bad shape for some time.
So basically, when you say that when it rains every day, it's not as heavy as when it builds up and rains in one-off.
Okay.
If you listen to, last time we were here when we listened to the Meteo guy, when he said that because it had rained heavily, subsequent rains will not be as heavy. Okay. When it builds up, then it rains one-off. That's more heavier than when it rains subsequently. So maybe in the rainy seasons, you might not have as heavy tenders as you would have when it comes like this. But look, that is not the point. Whether it rains heavy or it rains small, Accra as it is should not be going through what it's going through now. We've come from, I don't know when this whole project for Accra Flats started. Every 4 years, we've had various conversations on Accra Flats. Remember the Conti project? It's about $660 million contract that was signed with the American company Conti to do Accra Flats. Nobody heard what happened to that. That basically fizzled out. We've got Garrid, right? The Garrid project is still ongoing. That one is initial $200 million from the World Bank and an extra $150 million approved in 2024 for Garrid, right? And if your viewers are wondering what Garrid is, let me just find a full...
Greater Accra.
Yes, it's Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project, Garrid, right? And it's a project that is still ongoing with about only a few, not much of the funding even assessed, right? When you read the project documents, they've got a good over $200 million still there to be assessed to basically help with the Accra drainage problem. And that started around 2019. My biggest challenge is that year on year, we play lip service to the flood in Accra. This government has come in, spent over almost $8 billion on Big Push. None of that Big Push project involves the Greater Accra drainage problem. We've seen all the...
Because that's been handled by Garrett, not so.
No, but the Garrett project is a set amount. What I'm saying is that the $8 billion that's been dispensed so far on that road infrastructure, none of them is going to flooding in Accra, the flood projects. Garrett has not gotten any injection of money from...
Is it disbursed or commitment?
Well, commitment, the commitment.
Yeah.
I'm saying the 350 is committed. About, I think, half so far is been disbursed. What I'm saying is that every 4 years, a new government comes in and tries to do something with the flood in Accra. We've seen 8 billion committed, right, to infrastructure, road infrastructure. We have seen nothing committed to the flooding problem in Accra.
Okay.
In the next 4 years, the people in Accra are waking up as they did on Sunday morning to see the floods. I'm sure you wouldn't have even woken up because throughout the night, you would have been woken up by water gushing into your house or your room, right? And you have to wake up and be faced with the reality of another flood in Accra. What is this government doing to forestall some of these things? Initially last year, we heard about cleaning of the drains, making sure the waterways are basically dredged, making sure that there isn't any chokeholes in the process where the rubbers are being distilled from the gutters and all that to help with free flow of river, of the water when it rains. Has it been done this year? Because we heard last year something like that was done. And I think we praise some of the municipal assemblies for...
This year we spoke to Florence Kuchi, who's the AMA Director of Public Health, last Friday, and she said she gave areas where they've done that.
Yeah, but that's one municipality. You know, now, before, when you say AMA, it covers the entire Accra. Now, AMA only covers a small part of Accra, right? There are various municipalities within Accra. So have they all done that? And if they've done, what is creating the floods now? So for me, I think it's because it's very disheartening. I have lived in an area that floods, North Kanishi, Blue Kiosk. Sometime around 99, 2000, that place was a serious flood. They were near where the Cocoa Board Estate is, right? That stretch. Serious flooding when it rains. Now, because of the big drainage that's been done in that area, you know, rains were coming in from the industrial area all the way up, down that side. And it's crazy. Now, because of the drainage and everything that's been done, that flood system is gone away. So it's really bad. It needs to be looked at. How we do it, I don't really want to look into the crystal ball to say that it will never happen again, but it's happened on Sunday. Definitely there are going to be other heavy rains that will probably happen again.
Okay. If you look at this collapsed structure, it talks about structural integrity. Must it be personal driven that I want to construct this building, I want to get it right? Or we need to get the assembly to always be on our neck to say, do the right thing?
Well, it's both, actually. But in the context of our kind of discussions, obviously it's a state issue because you can't build without getting a permit.
Yeah.
You see, we walk around, we see stop work, produce permits. Stop work, produce permits. When you produce the permits, it means that you have actually gone through the process to get the authorization to build. If you can't produce a permit, you have to basically go through the process to obtain it. So nobody should be able to build a structure which has not been authorized. In other words, it has been reviewed, your designs have been checked, the structural integrity has been determined to be okay and so on. Once that has not been done, you cannot put the blame or focus entirely on just, let's say private players and how they've decided to build and so on. No, the state has a key role to play because obviously it is the state that must sign off that you can build this structure. And we know many of the structures that have been built in Accra and many other parts of the country don't have permits. That's the actual fact. And so to have a conversation around how to deal with these kinds of things going forward includes having a conversation broadly from both the public side and the private side. Now, when it comes to the assembly, the reason why their role or duty is so critical is because they are localized. We are not waiting for Minister of Local Government to come from the capital to any part of Ghana to go and check buildings. You are in a municipality, a district, or what have you. They are district officers. We just had someone describe himself as a NADMO director, for example, for a constituency. The idea is that you should be so close to your locality that you know everything that's going on, which is why they go around to do the stop work produce permit. Because basically, if the team that is in charge of that function, when they wake up in the morning, their work is to go out, make sure that nothing is coming up which has not been authorized. If it has not been authorized, they have to put a stop to it. And if the person intends to continue, they have to go through a process, submit the drawings, the site plan, all the things that they will be required to do, pay the necessary fees. The engineers will check the drawings, certify it, approve you before you can get your permit, and then you can build. So this kind of situation cannot just happen. It should not even be possible. I saw pictures of the building before it came down. Somebody, or people were sending something around on social media. And of course, I'm not an engineer, but even when you look at the beams, the pillars, they look so skinny, like tiny relative to the size of the building. And this is a like 2-3-story building. So that's significant. Now, look at what has happened. Loss of life. 3 individuals have passed away and many more injured. And typical, we'll have this conversation today. Tomorrow, there'll be a hot new topic. Kojo, you and your team will be here to discuss that one, and then we'll forget that this has happened. And guess what? Next week, next month, next year, we might sit down here and have this same conversation again. So for me, it can't be a recurring cycle unless we put a stop. So for me, yes, individuals obviously should figure out what kind of investments they are making, because right now, if you own this building, you've gotten some benefit out of it for a while, because I understand the place was being used for a church service when this collapsed. So those who have been injured or even died were probably part of that congregation. Now, let's say you are renting it out to make money. Now, even your investment is gone. So obviously, individuals, companies, businesses who are building should take that personal responsibility to ensure that what I'm doing will be solid.
And what makes this one quite, a serious one is the fact that this was a building that they were constructing for a school, right? It's
yes, part of a school. Yes, I've also heard that as part of the conversation.
So it means that children were going to occupy this space. Look at this.
Look at this.
No way.
Look at this.
Oh, I know this neighborhood.
No way. You can.
It looks familiar, isn't it?
I know the area.
So
No. You can't.
Newtown.
Yes.
The beams are too skinny. So I ask.
And people climbed up there to worship.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were even down. I'm not sure where they were,
but you see, the assembly only approves your structural designs. They are not on the site itself when you are developing, right?
No, but they can always do it.
They have an inspectorate.
Yes. They can do it, and are supposed to, yes.
Okay, but but my question is tailored towards the artisans. I'm asking this question because we're doing a project somewhere, a 6-story project. The foundation, I went to the site to check the progress of work, and I saw the work the guy had done. I told him to stop, and I sacked him because the beams were too small.
But was there an architectural drawing, and was there quantities done?
Yes, there was.
And he decided to do something contrary.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but then that means the foreman is not doing his work.
I couldn't have known.
But was there a foreman?
There wasn't also. But that's why.
Wasn't.
Yes. No. That's why it brings me to this question about artisans, because the person we paid to do the project was someone we looked up to serve as the foreman, coordinating the whole thing.
The person wasn't.
You see, when you go to
But he wasn't a foreman.
When you go to our communities, there are so many of these kinds of people doing projects.
Right.
So the question is, how do we even ensure that beside the structural design that the assembly has signed on, the right thing is being done on the side? This project I'm talking about, we have sunk more than 300K into foundation.
Yeah, but could you?
We have not gone anywhere.
I don't mean to take anybody's time, but listen, let me tell you the steps. When an architect does a drawing, there are two sides of it. An architect will tell you that he would be a supervisor or there's a contract that you can sign. Whether he just gives you the architectural drawing and you go away and find somebody to supervise the architect drawing that he's done, or you pay him to come to site to supervise. So you, the person who are building, if you don't want the architect to be coming, then you need somebody who is qualified at the site to supervise the foreman and the artisan.
The reason I've brought this in is that you are talking about the ideal. The ideal
no, but if you're going to spend 300,000, that's the ideal.
No, I'm coming. Let me ask the question. This is what should happen. But there are many of, like this one, someone was building it, right? I'm not sure this is the, but
Ghanaians like cutting corners. That is where we are.
So that's why I'm asking the question. Must it only be the approval on paper?
No.
But how do we ensure that the artisans are also doing the right things of implementing the paper on the ground?
Is it Kojo? You asked a question in two parts. You said whether you as a business person or individual building, you should take personal responsibility. As well as when it comes to the asset. And I said that it's both. No, because like right now, if you are building, as Kojo is saying, it's an investment you are putting.
Yes.
You are spending 300K. That's minimum because you haven't even gotten any.
No.
You are talking about probably millions of Ghana.
Because I've made him stop.
Exactly.
Else would have pumped a lot of money there.
So we are going to spend millions of Ghana cedis. And you are not using the right professionals. For example, there are certain level of construction that if you are doing, you should not engage a draftsman. You must necessarily have an architect. If you are not going to use an architect, that means you are not ready to start. There's supervision. Because you see, every level of the construction, or the higher it goes, the more complex it gets, the more impact it will have when there's an issue. Which means that if you are investing in something like this, the size, the kind of building we're talking about, you definitely must have an architect. And the architect is not just to give you drawings and leave. You want an architect who will stay with the project. So you do your pre-construction and post-construction works, where the person will supervise every step of the way to make sure that what they designed is being built according to spec. You have your quantity surveyors determining the true cost of the construction and so on. You know the materials you did, everything. If you have supplied, let's say at a particular stage, you are required to produce 1,000 bags of cement, certain quantity of sand and so on. There must be somebody making sure that the artisans will use the exact quantity, because that's why somebody has also been trained as a quantity surveyor to make sure that per this design of the architect, per this structure, you will need this quantity of materials to build it. If you use less, you are basically setting the stage for some structural integrity issues down there, which is the case here. So that is obviously your personal responsibility. But beyond that, we know that people, the Americans have a saying, trust but verify. Yes, we know that it's your building. We know you are doing the investment. We know you will lose when the investment goes down. But we will not rely on you alone. That's why we've set up assemblies. We've set up different departments there, including a department that's responsible for engineering-related works, including determining whether your drawings itself meets the standard, what kind of construction are you doing, does it meet the zoning requirements of a particular area, because there are places where, let's say in East Legon, you can't build high-rise to a certain level because it's a flight path. Planes come that way. If you are in another part of the city, you can build maybe even 100 floors. It doesn't matter. So the reason why the pre-approval is required is that it must be checked to make sure that what you intend to do complies with applicable law. Now you started your construction. These inspectors, this same division under the assemblies must do inspection as well, because they go around to see that what has been approved. So when they come to your site, they ask you, do you have a permit? You say yes. They'll look at your permits. They'll see what they have approved to confirm that it's authentic and see whether what you are doing even corresponds with that, which means that it's an ongoing process. I'm not an engineer. When I look at that structure, from my untrained engineering eye, it looks like there's something wrong with it. So how come there's a whole district chief executive, municipal directors, officers, and so on, who have been seeing this building for months, years? That's what I'm saying, that the whole purpose of localizing is that those in the area know every building, they know every inch of that district. So this building cannot be standing for, let's say, a decade, and I can even look at it and say there's something wrong, but the engineers can't tell that there's something wrong. Do you get my point? Yeah, so obviously, for me, when things like this happen, it's not a matter of, it's not a surprise. It can be. Because clearly there was something wrong with that structure.
Okay.
Which means there is a failure on the part of persons or institutions that are responsible for ensuring that things like this do not happen.
Okay. Doc, let me bring you in here. Now, from whatever we've said to this point, looking at it from the fact that the officer cannot know everywhere, can we really say, well, because we put you there to do it, it's your responsibility to check it? The municipality will be a very big one. People also love not to go to assembly for permits.
Our country, our nation, our state, our republic, Ghana month, and tomorrow we end it. But with what lessons? Where are we? Who are we? Where are we aspiring to be? And why are we where we are today? You think about these questions all the time when you are confronted. I have seen this building. And I think, if I am not exaggerating, it's been there for about a decade or more. This building.
More than 10 years.
If I'm not exaggerating, in my mind, I've seen it around. Okay? The Newtown road joining to Boomerang, or what's the name of that place? Where there used to be a cinema.
Boomerang is Caprice.
Yes, from Newtown, the road that descends towards there. It's on that stretch.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I can see your cameraman nodding. It's on that stretch. Yeah. Okay. You see Expo 87 Hotel. Yeah, that's what gave me the indication that I know this particular place. So my two brothers have said a number of things. The law is as good as the goodness of the people invited to obey or administer it. Mm-hmm. We cannot have all the fine rules, requirements, regulations, if we don't will to let them work. They won't work. So it brings to question who actually set out to put up this structure in the first place. Actually went ahead to put it up. That it has been up there for, even if it is 1 year.
It's long enough.
1 year. That no city authority, no assembly member, no collection of community people have risen as concerned citizens of the area to raise an alarm about this. And that you had human beings who chose, elected, to go up this building in the name of worship. And we lie on God. Our God is not disorganized. And it breaks. And I will hear some people lie on God. Oh, nyame naye. You lie on God. It's God, the doing of the Lord. Who says that? As far as I am concerned, this is enough reason for us to pause and say we must rethink Ghana. We need to rethink our country. We need to rethink ourselves. Who are we? Where are we? Where are we going? Why are we where we are? Why should this be happening? 69 years of existence under so-called independence. Independence of what is still a debate. So I'm not only concerned and worried, but I weep within me that will we learn any lesson from this? Are we just talking? Don't make the point. Because this conversation is not the first time about such an incident. It's not the first time.
It'll be the last.
And the other issue is the standards of materials that are used. If you are putting up a story building, should these be the pillars? Should these be the beams? Is that how the foundation should look like? On the bare face of it, without a technical eye, does this make sense to anybody, onlooker? And I'm asking about who invested money into this project. The last point I want to make about this is this. I have avoided going into the technicalities because, as far as I'm concerned, technically, I'm incompetent. This is where the issue the gentleman who is supposed to be the municipal director of NADMO comes up. Is he competent to man that office? Describing himself as the director for constituency. Does NADMO operate in constituencies or in districts? And nobody should say that I'm being petty or it's a slip. It's not a slip. The man was conscious that he is director for a constituency. Is that the case? And when we are commenting about these things, are we doing so with competence? Or we are just talking because we've been given the mic? I beg. I think Joy News, your program and your producers, I would implore you to get a proper technical assessment of this particular situation to serve as a basis to say never again. It must end somewhere. Some district chief executive or a district chief executive, a municipal director or municipal director of whatever, coordinating director, whatever, somebody in charge of town and country planning, somebody must pay for this.
An uncle of mine who's watching us says beams are the horizontal element, the vertical element are columns, and in the layman's language, pillars. So you said pillars, and I brought in the beams, but it doesn't.
They give you the technical.
Yes. The beams are not there.
So yes, exactly.
Uncle Ato is what I got to go.
So Kojo, I'm imploring your outfit that get technical people to come and assess this particular situation and tell us at the end of the day if somebody must not lose their job.
In fact, Gabriel, let me add to that. You see that your reporter mentioned the fact that they said they are going to clear the place as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
One of the thoughts that came to mind when she made that point was that they have to first
assess.
Yes, there shouldn't be a rush to, if I should say, clear the place. They should cordon the place, protect it, make sure people are not going there.
But already excavators are sitting on the thing.
Yes.
And I hear scrap dealers, the way we are in a rush, scrap dealers. The police must condone the place.
No, yes. In fact, the excavator I thought was probably helping with the rescue because they said they had to lift up some of the concrete.
Now the rescue
shouldn't be
is
in a
over.
rush to, because you need to determine what caused it. Rather than just clearing the place.
Because this place has nothing to do with the flood. If there was a flood at all, where we saw, it has nothing to do with any flooding.
It's just a structural integrity.
Or the heavy winds could have blown it down.
That's exactly. That's also yes, because if it's not stable.
Yeah, the heavy winds.
Of course, the heavy winds.
Heavy winds, yes. Because it was very windy.
Yesterday.
Morning. Yeah, it's very, very windy.
But one thing we're also losing sight of the fact is the reporter said the MC had warned no one to go to the place.
Okay, so you see, for my little concern is that we have a country where when a structure is built, everybody is scared to pull it down. And sometimes you go to court, and court, even when an order is given, it becomes a bit challenging. Because my brother Kabila is saying that this thing has been there for over 10 years, right? It means that...
I suspect.
Roughly. It's been there for some time. Yes. Let's agree it's been there for some years. Clearly, I'm sure they was built to a point, and even the person building it realized that we didn't quite accept. And that's why it's stuck, right? So, but to pull it down,
it's another problem.
It's not another problem. Because if the assembly goes to pull it down, It will be somebody. They can
judgment debt.
They'll even take him to court. You understand? Meanwhile, he has built this structure, but which is not fit for purpose.
If you get a court order,
yes, so go to the process.
Go to the process.
Once you have the court
order. But you see, I have a big problem with the way the assemblies work, right? And I don't want us to let this program turn into a bashing of the assembly. The unit of the assembly for me that is very dysfunctional is the town and country planning. Very dysfunctional. Most of the town and country planning, you go there is a lawyer who is always in court.
Now they have a different
special planning.
Special, whatever. Yes, that department, you go there, half the time they've gone to court. Half the time they've gone to court. And most of the people who sit there are lawyers because the concentration of that department is mostly about litigation, the taking, you understand? The engineering, the fundamental issue with permits and all these things is that department. I have a similar problem which I've even collected the Adenta municipality, the MCE's number, the lady. I'll be calling her. Right on my road, if you see what the tipper trucks are doing in my area and spoiling the roads there. And I've called the urban roads director. He says, oh, he will come. Then later he gave me the MCE's number that I should call the MCE. So the problem is, the reason we have local government is that local government is supposed to have all the bylaws to what? Give punitive actions and sanctions. They don't do it. They don't. Look, municipal assemblies are... Anyway, look, let's talk about...
So this one, Lom, I mean, you're a lawyer here, so maybe I don't know what the law says. But when the MC asks people not to go there and someone goes there, what options does the MC have? For example, you go to a place where the NADMO guy said they've cordoned some places off, but people have removed the tapes. And they're accessing those places.
Yeah. Well, in this particular case, once they've cordoned off the place, if you do go there, then obviously you're taking on...
At your own risk.
Yes, personal risk.
Okay.
But you see, when it was reported that the MC said nobody should go there, how was that done? Is there a signage there? Was it announced in the community? Like, we need to know the level of information that has gone out and whether it was actually well known. There are places where you go, you see a big billboard saying, maybe trespassers are warned or you'll be prosecuted, something. I don't know the level of information we're talking about. So we have to be very careful about that, especially because you ask what the MC can do. If there was a directive like that, perhaps it was because maybe they are going through a court process. So for now, they've just issued a warning that people shouldn't go there whilst they take steps. Because as Kojo mentioned, bottom line, if the thing doesn't meet the standard, you go to the process and then you pull it down. But perhaps the pulling down has become an issue. Yes. So if the reason was because they were going through some court process, then that's fine. But if it's not that, simply saying nobody should go there, then the question is, how was that communicated? Because people should know without a doubt that this place is a unsafe zone, which means it's cordoned off, which means that there are bright colored warning signs, things that will make it obvious to someone who is literate and someone who is illiterate that this place is a no-go area. I doubt that there was something like that, at least from what is coming out so far, which is why, again, I also support Kabile's suggestion to your team that perhaps it's something you should dig down deeper into, because perhaps if we go into, realize that there are many dimensions to it that are not even accurate based on what we are seeing.
But for those watching us now, if there's a cordoned off area and you break it and go into, you're doing that at your own risk.
That is it.
And
also, you can also be arrested.
Yeah, arrested. Okay.
I think it is also important that the people who went there, those who, if it's a church,
yeah, it's a church, we are told,
we need to have some examination of people who led them there. No, I'm being honest. We take for granted our mental state. I don't know what will push me to want to enter this building and go up there in the name of worship. So if people went there, a reasonable mind, a reasonable man, I think we need to subject such persons to some assessment. It is important.
People love to occupy on uncompleted structures.
Yes, but I'm saying, you see, there are certain risks that you don't take. If someone would take such a risk based on a killer assumption and ignore all caution, if there were such, signals there, then we need to examine such individuals, in my view.
All right. Thank you very much. This one says, Kojo, what would have also happened if the municipal coordinators are taking steps to pull down the structure? The same resident and occupant would just resist them. A country will live in. So that's Akokraba brought this one in. This is something that my guest have also alluded to earlier, that we will resist them if there were attempt to, we would have resisted them if there were attempt to pull down this structure. But again, just about the flooding, I think on the flooding, it was just Kojo who got a point on it. Yeah, Lom, on the flooding, I mean, what must we really do? Because like you said, we'll also be here next year to talk about flooding. Is there any hope that we can really avoid flooding at all?
There is hope if we are willing to do what is required. I see that, for example, in the last budget statement, there's some allocations made towards flood relief and so on, including some insurance for people who are affected by flooding, particularly in the prone areas, like the Odona area, Circle, and so on. Because some of those areas, they are, because of historical, if I should say, structural challenges, they might have these problems for a while until we can deal with them substantively. Okay, so I've seen that there's something in that regard. Obviously, the Garrid and some climate fund has also committed almost 800 million to support resilience-related drainage, irrigation, all those kinds of things for Greater Accra. So obviously there are things that have been done, and I think we need to say that, well, those are good. But you see, one of the challenges with this issue is that it's about enforcement. So if you ask the question, is it possible that we'll solve this problem? We can, if we are willing to do what is required. And what is required, in my view, is multifaceted, right? So for example, we've talked about the assemblies and how we've dovetailed that into planning. Ghana, it's not that we don't have plans. We have plans on almost everything you can imagine. And in fact, for the one we talk about, spatial planning, I've forgotten their full name, but that used to be town and country planning, which the name has changed, spatial planning and something. Their work is essentially to map out the entire country and tell us what you can do where and what you can do where. And I can assure you that for Greater Accra, almost every district municipality has a plan. They know where schools should be, they know where mosques should be, they know where waterways will be, and so on. When my area, live in East Legon Hills, let's say about a decade ago, right, that area, there are places where you could see like ponds or small lakes or big waterways. Today, when you come to that area, all those places are built up. So basically, people filled up the ponds, and then they sold it to people as whatever land. Some were like streams, they filled them up and they sold. And you see, the thing about water is that
they will find it.
As they say, water will always find its level.
Yes.
So my point is that if the plans are there, in the plans, they know where the waterways are. They know where the ponds are. They know where the lakes are. They know where the streams are. They know where the rivers are. They've designated specific places that no one should build up because those places are naturally, just by their geological formation, they are not fit to be used for construction. So we've talked about the if I say infamous, the place around Sakumono.
Ramsar
site and all of those. But every day we see people. So people are building.
Yes.
In places that it's basically a swampland. Places that we should probably even be farming some rice there, where we get high yields and so on, because it's a swampy area. But they'll fill it up and they'll build it. But the water will find its level. So for me, if the question about whether we can deal with it, it is yes, if we are willing to do what it takes. So you've done your plan. The plan should be enforced. people building construction should be complied with. You know the terrain. Accra is one of the biggest and hardest hit areas because this is the capital. We are overpopulated. Accra has over 3 million people living in this small space. So obviously it means that there's urban pressure. People want to live there. That's why you said people go and occupy. Yes, because people are looking for accommodation. So what you have to do is to make sure that your planning is in advance of the growth, is in advance of the construction, all of that, so that we don't have a situation where we'll spend 200 million, we'll go and desilt the Odo River, and then next year we'll spend another 200 million to go and do the same thing. It's a no-brainer. We are essentially just putting money in the same
recycling.
Yes, recycling and so on.
There was a video on the screen a short while ago, and you could see the number of rubbish on the surface of the water. It's also a contributory factor, the cleanliness of the people within the city.
Well, it's key. But I think that body that used to be.
This is it. Yeah. See the waste it's carrying with it. Yes. And these will go and choke some smaller.
It means we are not doing our work.
Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 2016. LUSPA. Land use. Land ownership is in individual and family hands in Ghana. Land ownership. At the highest level, for political reasons, we call them stool lands. But they are owned by families and individuals. However, when it comes to the use of land, it is the mandate of the state.
So someone is saying that fiscal planning is fiscal planning department is now spatial planning, and there is the land use and spatial planning authority in the regions. That's right. That's what someone has just sent us, and I think I saw that in the Western region. Yeah, that there's an office like that.
So again, I'll preface my input with what I said earlier. The law is as good as the goodness of the people invited to obey or administer it. We have all the good laws. Our problem in this country is enforcement. Okay. We are just not willing to be law-abiding people. And conveniently, we decide what issues to highlight when it suits us. And we talk about them, the next moment we forget about them. We are just not consistent. And there is credibility when it comes to consistency. And after all, even when you depart, you need to have the humility to concede. And this is what is lacking. Yeah. These are the soft issues that, nation-building effort must have. Without them, it will be business as usual. Inconsistencies and lack of principle, we don't care what happens. And that, for me, is a problem. Flooding in Accra predates our independence. And it tells you about the topography and what will happen if you are not careful about your planning. In view of this, our forebears knew about the need to construct good drainage and sewage systems. We had them. Today, are they operating? Are they functional? As Lom said, many of the swampy areas that are not meant for building, we've turned them into habitations. We think we can conquer nature. You cannot beat nature. You can't cheat nature. Nature will come after you. So many of the things that we are seeing today are a response, feedback from nature over years or for years of abuse and impunity shown towards nature.
Yeah.
Areas that are not supposed to be mined, we are mining. And if you are not careful in this country, you will mine everywhere, including this studio. Because as early as 1913, yes, A.E. Kitson, they surveyed and established that the entire land bed of this country is sitting on gold. Yes. From the north to the south, from the east to the west. So the question is, when we have planned that this is where schools should be, this is where a church should be, this is where a recreational center should be. Why on earth should anybody think that, give that place to me and let me build my private residence? And you have city authorities acting in the name of the state, abusing the state authority given to them and allowing that. And citizens, sometimes we become victims because we are not informed. We are not aware. We don't have the information. And we have these things go on for a very long time.
Okay.
So, Kojo, I don't know, but I am an optimist. But these days, the recurrence of things and my own, I'm getting tired. At least a little over 2 decades engagement in this public space. Same things. I go back to some of my notes. I keep a diary. And I'm like, did I not discuss this sometime in 2007? 2006, I'm discussing this. I remember an article I wrote in 2005 on, rethinking our country with respect to mining. And some of the predictions that I made in that article, we discussed it here. So it's the same thing. Flooding in Accra. And then I want to conclude on this, Kojo. The 2021 National Population and Housing Census Report. It reveals something that many of us may not have been aware of. 4 of the 16 regions in this country, Greater Accra, Eastern, Ashanti, and Central. 4. Greater Accra, Ashanti, Eastern, and Central. These 4 regions have 54.6% of the population of this country living in these 4 regions. In fact, with Greater Accra having the chunk of that number. And the 12 regions with the largest land mass has just a little over 40% of the population. Why? We have made particularly Accra, Ghana, Ghana, Accra. If you want to live in Ghana, you must be in Accra. And despite the well-intended, if it had actually been meant and actualized, 1D, 1F, how much energy did we put into it? And are we even, today we are told about the big push. Is this big push taking into account the need to depopulate Accra? Otherwise, it will be moving around in a circle.
But I say that if there's
there must be a deliberate plan to get people out of Accra.
So that's why I was coming. If there's a functioning railway line between here and Takoradi, I don't live in Accra. I'll live in my beautiful Aguna Nkwanta.
Thank you.
And drive to Takoradi early morning and pick a train here.
I did an article in 2007, Rethinking Ghana Railway System, when we turned Ghana at 50. The railway lines we have in Ghana are all the railway lines that were established by the colonial authorities to exploit our resources to serve metropolitan interests in the UK.
Yeah.
Check. The one from, is it even functioning now? Takwa, one from Konongo, where else? Tutema. All of them Tutema.
Here to
Akusubu.
Mpakadan. The new one that they built.
New one, that's new.
So has it been completed?
Yes. That's complete.
And is it working? Where does it end?
As far as Mpakadan.
We were supposed to have, in addition to the golden triangle of the motorways, we're also to have a railway system similar to that will connect us through the Pan-African agenda. What has happened to all these things? So, Kojo, you are right. But the things that we will do to depopulate Accra, we are not interested.
We won't do them.
Because, and this is where I will end, it does appear that the problems that get attention in this country are the problems that we can benefit from. Make money out of.
Yeah.
And so we will let them persist so long as we are milking the state from there. If we don't change that attitude, nothing will get solved in this country.
After all, renting Accra is expensive, right? So if I have an acre here and I put up structures, I have a lot of money. Why would I want you to decongest Accra? We'll keep people coming here. Anyway, Lom, Isaac Jesse Yabua says hi to you. Says you're a mate in Legon. Yes. Yeah. He's with UCC, but on secondment to the education ministry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Hey, Professor Bodi is watching us this morning. He's a regular on Fridays. He's also, I think I've seen a message here from him. Okay, that's a different one.